Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be teaching you how to make a simple calculator in the console using Python. So I'm going to run the program and to give you a visual of what we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to run it. So it prints some simple welcome statement and it asks me for number 1, so I'm going to input 10. And it asks me for a second number, so I'm going to input another 10. And we only can input 2 numbers for this program, and okay, it asked me to pick one of the following operators: times, divide, plus, and minus. So I'm going to pick minus. Wait, no, let me pick plus. There we go. So 10 plus 10 is 20, and it works. And we can even restart the program. So I'm going to click yes, and there we go. So let's get started. So I'm going to go to File and create a new project. I'm going to name it Calculator. I'm going to click Enter. And I'm going to say new window, and I'm going to right click on the folder and create a new Python file, and I'm going to name it main. So first I'm going to write in a simple print statement like the one you saw earlier, welcome to simple console based calculator. So I'm going to print that first. So welcome to simple console based calculator. And we're gonna need a few functions, so like we don't have to repeat the code every time, we just call the function instead. So I'm gonna call define restart, and for now I'm gonna put in pass, so there will be no weird errors coming up for now. So, and the next we're gonna need to have another 4 more functions for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So I'm gonna put define add and put in pass, and I can just copy and paste this for the rest. So I'm just gonna 1 2 3, and instead of add I'm gonna say here minus divide and times, and we're gonna have one more function called main. So we're gonna be calling in all the functions in here. So I'm gonna put pass for now, and oh yeah, we need to put one more. We have to put define get input. So because we're gonna get the input from the player, not from the user. Because like if the user enters a wrong kind of input, we can call this function easily instead of having to write more code. So I'm gonna put in pass, and all the way down here I'm gonna include this if name equals underscore main, and I'm gonna put main. So what this does is just basically like saying this is like the main file we're gonna run. So, and main will be repeated many times. So it's basically like a while loop, I guess, but not so much, because like it just tells like this is the file, this is the main file. So it's good, especially when it's like good to have this, especially when we're having separate files. So this is a good kind of way to do it. So yeah, I'm just leave it here. So first I'm gonna focus on the restart function because it's at the top, so might as well do it first. So first I'm gonna ask replay equals a string input, do you want to restart the program, and we either yes or no. So basically we're gonna get either an input from the user, and it has to be a word, a string, and we're storing it in the variable replay. And we're gonna check now if replay equals yes, then I'm gonna do main. So when we restart the program, so but elif replay equals n, then we're gonna print goodbye, and we're gonna quit. Quit just basically exits the program. So that's pretty much it. But I also need to check if the player or the user enters something other than y or n. So if it's not y or if it's not n, then then we're just gonna print, please enter a correct answer, and we're gonna restart the function. So I'm gonna call restart. So now with that done, let's focus on the main part, the calculator part. So first, I'm gonna create two numbers up here. I'm gonna two variables up here. I'm gonna name it number 1 equals 0 and number 2 equals 0. It's basically going to be our number 1 and number 2. We're gonna store the variables in here after we get the input from the player in here. So now go all the way down to get input, and first we're gonna print pick one of the following operators. So we're going to give the user the option. So I'm going to print times equals, that's this starting, and we're going to print divide. Oh yes, to include these. Yeah, divide equals the slash, typo, and I'm going to print plus equals the plus sign, and I'm going to print minus equals the minus sign, and I'm going to ask the input from the user. So we're going to say operator. This operator can be any name, just remember what you put it, and we're going to say equals string input, which operator do you want to pick, and from here we can check if the operator is equals to that star, this starting. Then we're gonna do the times function, we call it times. But if elif operator equals to the dash forward slash, then we're gonna call for the divide function. Elif operator equals to plus sign, then I'm gonna call for the plus function. Oh wait, no, it's the add function. Yep. And then we're gonna see elif again operator equals minus, then I'm gonna call for the minus function. But what if I enter something other than these four choices? So I need to check for that. So if I don't enter the star, I don't enter the forward slash, I don't enter the plus, I don't enter the minus, then it's gonna do, I'm gonna print the console, please enter a correct operator, and I'm gonna run this again. So that's the good thing about having to use this function. So that it's a good thing that we have this kind of function, so like in the event the user puts something other than all these false operators, we can just call it again, it doesn't matter. So now let's focus on the main function, the first thing we're gonna call. So we're gonna call, because I'm gonna need number 1 and number 2, I'm going to have to global them inside because they are to make them available throughout the script. So I'm going to say global number 1 and number 2. So I'm going to say, now we're going to create a new variable called num1, not to be mistaken for number 1, it's different. Num1 is a different name, and you'll see why in a moment while we're doing this. So I'm going to say in, and because we're going to get a number, not a float. So if you want to enter something like 5.5, then you just replace this with a float. So I'm going to say input enter number 1, and then we're just going to copy and paste this, and we're going to name number 2. And then now we want to kind of like force the value of num1 on number 1. So basically number 1 equals to num1, so whatever the player enters here in num1 will be stored in number 1. So it's like kind of like a good way, because now we can use this number that we can get the player input and use it all across the script. So I can use it in now in add, minus, divide, and times. So now I'm going to call also for number 2 equals num2, and we're now going to get input. And remember, get input is this function where we pick the operator. And now let's focus on these 4 functions: the add, minus, divide, and times. They're basically quite simple because like they're basically all the same thing except for their signs. So I'm gonna start with the plus. I'm gonna print you have chosen addition, and then I'm gonna print your answer is, and I'm gonna put a comma. So to indicate I want to add this next variable, so I'm gonna put number 1 plus number 2. And then we can put here restart, because after we're done we want to restart the program. So we're going to call for this restart function, and everything under it is going to run. And this is basically the same thing for the other 3 functions, except we just need to change the text and the sign. So I'm going to put minus, and instead of plus I'm going to put minus. And we're going to do it for the same for the divide and times function. So we're going to put here divide, and I'm going to put here the forward slash. And for times, paste it in, and I'm going to say times, and we're going to put that star shape thing. To get the star shape thing, you can use shift and press the number 8. But this is on my computer, so I'm not sure about what kind of keyboard you're using, but it should be the standard kind. So yeah. So as long as you can do shift and 8, then you'll find this starting. And that's basically it. So what's gonna happen? Main is gonna be called, and in main we're gonna get the input num1 and num2, and we're gonna go to get input, which gets the operator. So if depending on what operator we choose, it's gonna go to either one of these functions. So let's say I put plus, it's gonna go to add. So I've chosen addition, and it's going to add number 1 and number 2, and then we can restart. And then restart is going to get input from the user, and yeah, we can restart the function, restart the program. So if I run this now, so let's see, run, and just run. I'm going to run main. Okay, enter number 1, I'm going to say 5, and enter number 2, I'm going to say 10. I pick one of the following operators. I'm going to pick plus 15. As you can see, 10 plus 5 is 15. And let's see if the restart works. So if I press Y, there we go, it works. And that's basically it. So that was how to make a simple calculator in the console using Python. I'll be putting a link to my GitHub page in the description, so you can find the code all on there. And yeah, that's basically it for today. See you in the next video. Cheers.